anyway. If you guys would please remain seated through our duration of the tour.
Too dark.
And try to keep all objects inside the blue rounds. Arms, elbows, knees, toes, cameras. Try to keep it in the blue rounds. Now, just in case you guys are wondering how deep the Riverwalk is, well, the natural flow of the Riverwalk, it's 3 to 4 feet deep. So if you find yourself in this river for some strange reason, do not panic at all. Try to simply stand up and walk out first. It is 3 to 4 feet deep. Now we do offer 2 life jackets right on board. One is for me, obviously, and one is for the next highest bidder. So guys, it's up to you. So you should be fine. Now this is a historic tour of our river walk. It is 321 years old. Spanish colonial soldiers and missionaries, they found this river June 13th, 1691. Now all these bridges and the theater right in front of us, all the man-made stuff you see, was added in 1941.
Look, they're doing Christmas movies.
Now this area is an Artisan River Theater. It's an open-air theater. The seating to my left-hand side, the stage to my right-hand side.
Okay, now we're going back to parranda music. This time, I'm sure you all know them. Those of you who are watching Puerto Rico or at the first one is
Grande direttore.
Patrulla. See? They call you Patrulla.
Grande Sandro.
Oh, sorry. The first one is Saludos, Saludos, which is one of those tunes I told you about that announce that you have people at your door that you would rather not see at 12 o'clock at night. Saludos, saludos, vengo a saludar. Then traigo esta trulla, and then one of the specialties in Puerto Rico during Christmas time and
Taking too long, sorry. I was
I'm sorry. I really want to see what's taking too long.
All the man-made stuff you see here was added in 1941 by the designer, architect named Robert H. Hugman. He was a concept architect of the Riverwalk, and he was a native to San Antonio. He went to Brackenridge High School, which is 20 minutes away from the Riverwalk, east. Now, Mr. Robert Hugman attended and graduated from the best university in the whole entire world, the best one. University of Texas in Austin, Longhorn just like me. Hook 'em horns. Anybody else? Oh, I know, right? I'm always the only one. It's all right. Hook 'em, guys. Now, Mr. Hugman was submitted his plan for the Riverwalk in 1929, but that was the same year as the Great Depression. So there was her construction until 1939, but it was finally finalized as the Riverwalk in 1941. It should have been operating as a park since 1941 as a Riverwalk. Now once I pass the bridge, if you look to my right-hand side, we have a natural heart-shaped island. It's called Marriage Island, averaging a wedding per day. Now if you look at the island, look at the bottom of the island. Look at the roots. It's part of a cypress tree. Look at the roots at the bottom. Now on top of the island, we have an iron table. It's called Father Damien Massenet's table. It was placed there back in 1991 to honor the first Catholic Mass ever held by Father Damien Massenet. Now when the Spanish colonial soldiers and missionaries found this river June 13th, Father Damien blessed this water. He had a Mass here. Now according to the Catholic calendar, June 13th is the feast day of St. Anthony San Antonio. So in honor of him, they named this river San Antonio 321 years ago. Now before this river was called San Antonio, it was called Ayaguana, for calm and steady water from the papaya. It was called Ayaguana first. Now coming up right in front of our boat, right in front, past the bridge, we have an acorn tower right in front. That is big red, the Bexar County Courthouse right in front. Opened up in 1896. Look at the baby ducks over here. Look at the baby ducks. All right, hand side. You guys see the baby ducks over here? Not part of my tour, but I like them, so I put it out. Now, the Bailey County Courthouse opened up in 1896, and they haven't been closed one day since that day, even through renovation. Since 1896, they've been open. Now, to my left-hand side, we have the Tower of Life building. It's a life insurance company, and it stands 404 feet tall, and they claim to be the only octagonal high-rise in the U.S. And if you notice, we're on top of the tower along the edges. Look at the gargoyles hanging out. Well, they work as operating water spouts. So when it rains, and if it rains, it goes through the gargoyle's mouth into a corner gutter, into the Riverwalk from way on top. Now check out these trees to my left-hand side. See the trees here? Look right above the trees on the first level of the building. Look at the faces right above the trees. They are called grotesque. And the reason we were placed there was to protect the building from evil spirits and bad luck. Well, they do not work. This building opened up June 1st, 1929, just in time for the stock market to crash, the Great Depression. So the owner of this property was forced to sell the whole building for its tax value the first week he opened up, the first week. It's horrible, right? Now, it's only a legend, but people say it was $30,000 for the whole property, $30,000. Now, it's only a legend, so I wouldn't know if it's true or not, but if it is true, it's horrible. You can buy a motorcycle, you can buy a horse with $30,000. It's horrible. How much is the building? It's bad. Now, once I pass the bridge, if you look right behind us back at the tower, some people say it's constructed to look like a battleship coming into the Riverwalk. So once I pass the bridge, look right behind us at the building. Some say it's like a big old battleship coming into the Riverwalk. Now, please use your imagination, okay? It's just a building, not a real battleship. But look right behind us. So, what do you guys think? Kinda, maybe? Maybe another margarita or so? Alright. Now, right in front of our boat is floodgate number 4. Floodgate number 4 right in front controls the water level of the Riverwalk. So it can operate during severe weather, like flooding. Now, the way it works, right in front, it works like a drawbridge. The bottom of floodgate number 3 is under the water. It rises all the way up, and it protects all the hotels and businesses inside the Riverwalk, while the floodwater just bypasses to our left-hand side. It's like a big old dam, like a big old wall. So the water flows to my left-hand side for 138 miles to the Guadalupe River, for another 10 miles to the Gulf of Mexico. So right behind us, 148 miles, maybe 150, right behind us. It is a natural flowing river. Now we exit the natural flow of the bottom. We're in a concrete area right now. It's kind of a small stretch from this floodgate to our next floodgate. It's man-made, kind of a small stretch. But this is the deepest part of the Riverwalk. It is 25 feet deep here. It's called the Flood Bypass Channel. The reason they built this area was because of the flood of 1921. The flood was so severe, it rose 9 feet above street level, 9 feet above it, taking the lives of 52 people. So the same year, the city of San Antonio came with a plan to dig this area out of the earth 25 feet deep to straighten the natural flow of the river in case of flooding. So the water could bypass the Riverwalk right into the natural flow instead of flooding the Riverwalk. Now, the original plan for our Riverwalk was to use the dirt out of this area, fill up the natural bend, make it into a sewer system. That was the first plan. Now, if it wasn't for two very smart women by the name of Emily Edwards and Rena Mavagreen, they were the co-founders of the San Antonio Conservation Society. So they were the only ones that saw potential for this river, for a park and for a business. So they fought very hard to keep the river alive. So thanks to them, we're in a river cruise instead of a sewer cruise right now. look to my left-hand side, we have Main Plaza, the heart, the seed of San Antonio. Now it's very tough to see, but if you look to my left-hand side, right in the center, past all these trees, you're gonna find one of the oldest churches in the whole nation. Not the oldest, but one of the oldest. Look right inside, guys. Right in the center, past all the trees. Right in the middle. Can you guys see there? It's kind of tough.
Oh, that one.
There it is.
You see?
See? It is San Fernando Cathedral Church. And the cornerstone, it was set back in 1731. 1731. Now inside the cathedral, they house some of the remains of the defenders of the Battle of the Alamo. Some of their ashes are right inside. Now we have no idea who it could be anybody. It could be James Bowie, David Crockett, it could be anyone, we don't know yet. But some of their ashes are right inside, under the altar. It's pretty cool. So it's anyone, so see for yourselves, it's pretty cool. Now here's our next floodgate. We're gonna exit the man-made and re-enter the natural flow. Now floodgate number 3 also controls the water level of the Riverwalk, and it also works like a dam. But it works a little bit differently, like a garage door. It drops straight down. It takes 15 minutes and weighs about 3 tons. But once I pass the bridge, if you look right above your heads, you're gonna see a rubber pallet. Well, that is the bottom of the floodgate. It drops straight down like a garage door. 15 minutes and 3 tons. So once I pass the bridge right above your heads, there's the bottom of the floodgate. It drops straight down. Right there you see slots here, like a big old dam, keeping the flood water out. If you look to my right-hand side, right on the Bella, the restaurant, we have a tree that is growing out of the building, like a big old tree house. You guys see that? Look at that. Right on the Bella, the restaurant over here. You guys see that? There is a fig tree, a fig. Now there used to be a box shutter on top. You guys see that? On top? Now the one on top, it got there because of the flood of 1921. The huge flood we had here. Now, if you want to know how severe the flood was, to my left-hand side is the Jury Inn and Suites. Back in 1921, this used to be our city public service building up in Superior Hills. Now look at the windows on our first level. Look right above the windows. Look at the small shields. That is just about 9 feet above street level. So from where we're at right now, up to the shields, that's how the flood rose to. Back in 1921, destroying the whole property. All the office supplies, the desks, the chandeliers were in this river back in 1921. Now in the lobby, they have photos of the actual flood. To my right-hand side, we have a huge Aztec head. To my right-hand side, like that big old Indian head, guys. That's part of the Aztec Theater. Opened up in 1926 as a silent movie theater. Now the Aztec is the last Mayan-themed theater left in Texas. The last one here on the Riverwalk. The Aztec on the river. Now if you look right next door, we have a cream color building. That is the Mocara Hotel and Spa. Now back in 1901, that used to be the L. Frank Saddle Company, outfitting saddles and harness to the U.S. and Allies in World War I. To Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, to Pancho Villa, they all had their saddles and harness right there. In 1901, the L. Frank Saddle Company. The company had a staff of 500 people who worked there for the company. To my left-hand side is La Mansión, the mansion of the river. In 1853, this was St. Mary's School for Boys, an all-boys school. Took to St. Mary's Law School, and when there was accommodated with west of San Antonio, but up Culebra Street, which is still to this day St. Mary's University. the bridge right in front of us. Once I pass the bridge, if you look to my left-hand side as high as you can, there's an optical illusion. What appears to be a freestanding wall. So once I pass the bridge, look to my left-hand side as high as you can. There's a freestanding wall. You guys ready? Look to my left as high as you can. A freestanding wall. That is the next hospital. The only hospital, the only one that has a bar at the basement. So a pretty good recovery room, right? And it's still a hospital, still, since 1930.
I'm telling you, Hard Rock Cafe.
Now, right in front of our boat is the Hyatt Regency. And if you notice the Hyatt right in front of us isn't very tall. Well, before it could be built, they had shadow testing. Just so that building wouldn't prevent the rising sun to shine over the Alamo, since the Alamo is a war memorial. And if possible, and only if it's possible, the sun has to always shine over a war memorial. So the result was a 16-foot story building, since the Alamo is right in front of it. Now once I pass the bridge to my right-hand side, we have a beautiful building with a pastel color rooftop and a Texas flag way on top. That is the Casino Club building. The Casino Club opened up in 1927 by the German Social Club. Now it was never a casino, never. So it kind of has false advertisement, but it was a social club. Now the only reason it wasn't a casino, or a club, or a bar, was because of the prohibition. So they outlawed alcohol to the whole U.S. But as of today, the first 2 floors, we have a steak house. The 3rd story up, we have an apartment complex on the Riverwalk apartment. No, a famous author by the name of Alex Haley wrote the book Roots. That's where he lived, while writing the book Roots. I'm not sure which window, which level, that's where he lived, Alex Haley. This area is called River Square. Interior to exterior dining, my left and right hand side. So most of the restaurants are here in River Square. Now for the best homemade guacamole, to my right hand side with orange umbrellas, that is Boudreaux's, a Texas bistro. They make the guacamole right in front of you guys. They make it right in front of you.
Steakhouse. There are so many steakhouses.
Now for the biggest margarita, to my left hand side is Cafe Olé. They offer a 60-ounce margarita, 60-ounce. To my right hand side is the Clifford Building. Now when this Riverwalk was complete in 1941, the architect, the designer, Robert Hugman, took it upon himself to move his own office right in the basement, just to prove to people that you could operate a business without the harm of flooding. But his name is still important to my right hand side. Robert H. Hugman, the father of the Riverwalk. That was his office, 1941. Casa Rio to my right hand side was the first restaurant on the Riverwalk. They opened up in 1946, and they are still to this day one of the same family, or the Lyons family. But Casa Rio pretty much pioneered everything on the Riverwalk. They were the first ones to